Casino and hotel operator Genting was among the top losers on Bursa Malaysia today after Genting Hong Kong said on Wednesday that the cruise ship operator should temporarily suspend all payments to creditors to preserve liquidity. Genting fell to as low as RM3.54 a piece before settling 6% lower at the close at RM3.57 for a market capitalisation of RM13.75 billion. Meanwhile, Genting Malaysia tumbled to as low as RM2.16 before recovering slightly to close still 3.5% lower at RM2.22 for a market value of RM12.6 billion. Analysts have said that Genting and its subsidiaries are not immediately affected by Genting Hong Kong's decision to suspend payments to creditors. S&P Global Ratings analyst Sandy Lim said yesterday that Genting does not have any material relationship with Genting Hong Kong besides a common brand name. Petronas is said to have had preliminary talks about buying Texas-headquartered shale driller Double Point Energy, which operates in the Permian Basin, the largest oil production basin in the US. Citing people familiar with the matter, Bloomberg reports that talks are in the early stages, so there's no guarantee a transaction will occur. These sources told Bloomberg that if a deal does go through, it could be worth several billion US dollars. Double Point pumps about 55,000 barrels of oil a day, but its key asset, Bloomberg said, is a 100,000-acre swath of drilling rights in the heart of the Permian. Co-CEO Cody Campbell reportedly said in April that the company is heavily hedged through the end of 2021, reducing exposure to oil price volatility as it ramps up output. The explorer is also said to have undrawn equity commitments from private equity backers that include Apollo Global Management, Quantum Energy Partners, Magnetar Capital, and Blackstone Group's GSO Capital Partners. Time.com saw its second quarter earnings slump by a quarter to RM69.79 million due to higher tax expenses. Revenue stood at RM304.8 million, some 10% higher year-on-year, thanks to an increase in data and data center income. As for the first half of FY20, cumulative net profit rose by some 8% to RM167.75 million on the back of RM589.75 million revenue. The telco explains that top line was up by 11% as it recorded higher sales across all core product segments. It should be noted that the group had revised some of its products' group classifications, which affected some of its comparative numbers. Looking ahead, Time says the economy is expected to face continued uncertainties and challenges arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, despite the country focusing on returning to normalcy. The impact of the outbreak on the group's business has so far been modest, with customer groups in the hospitality, tourism, aviation and SME-related sectors in particular taking the brunt. The group says it remains vigilant and continues to closely monitor any changes and developments related to COVID-19. Dayang Enterprise suffered a second quarter net loss of RM985,000, hit by lower vessel utilisation as the MCO delayed work orders and higher costs incurred as a result of adhering to new standard operating procedures to combat COVID-19. It previously posted a net profit of RM55.1 million in the second quarter of FY19. Meanwhile, quarterly revenue tumbled by 28% to RM170.95 million. For the 6-month period ended June, Dayang's net profit was down by 83.6% to RM8.34 million, while top line shrank by 15% year-on-year to RM343 million. On prospects, Dayang says it believes the outlook in the second half of 2020 will improve considerably as crude oil prices have stabilized at a healthy level, which bodes well for the oil and gas industry. In addition, its order book remains strong at an estimated RM3.8 billion, which will ensure healthy earnings visibility over the next few years. The Health Ministry has reported a new COVID-19 cluster. Dubbed the Maju Cluster, it originated from a restaurant in Titiwangsa, Kuala Lumpur. The ministry had initially reported 2 cases among the restaurant staff on Sunday after conducting random screenings. Subsequent close contact tracing later revealed that a patron had also contracted the virus. This new case is among the 9 reported today, bringing the national tally to 9,249. Meanwhile, there were 13 recoveries today, which means 8,945 patients have been discharged. There are currently 179 active cases in the country. 7 patients are being treated in the intensive care unit, with 4 requiring respiratory assistance. No new deaths were reported, leaving the death toll at 125.